What's poppin', guys? Let's talk about NXT Roadblock for March the 7th, 2023. Very fun show. It felt like a mini little pay-per-view on television. Really fun show here. I enjoyed it. So Tiffany Stratton, she did the narration for the event. It was really cool. She went over all the matches and stuff. So I enjoyed that. First match of the night was the street fight, the jailhouse street fight. Tony D'Angelo versus Dijak. Tony D wins. So towards the end of the match, Dijak hit the Feast Your Eyes on Tony D. Thought that it was over, but Stacks got involved. Tony D was able to get the crowbar. I don't know how the hell he did that. That was some weird stuff there. But he got the crowbar. He whacked Dijak in the head, I think, twice. And then he threw him into the cell, closed the door, won the match. So Tony D wins. I'm fine with this. Right decision. I don't know where he goes next. I really don't. Hopefully, he will be on the Stand and Deliver card. He needs to be. I could easily see him being in NXT title contention after Carmelo defeats Bron Breakker at Stand and Deliver. But I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud. Moving on. So, Mackenzie Mitchell, she's backstage with Roxanne Perez. Talking about the big title defense, her big title defense against Meiko Satomura. So, Roxanne says that she's nervous, but she's busted her ass to make sure that this outcome is different than the first meeting. She knows that Meiko is going to test her, but that's why she exhausted all the options at the Performance Center. She's pushed herself past her limits and all that she can do. I mean, and she's done all that she can do. She knows that this isn't her first title defense, but it's her biggest. She needs to walk into Stand and Deliver as champion, but if that's not pressure enough, she has to beat a living legend tonight, which is bigger than the title win. Roxanne says she's nervous and anxious. Her heart is beating out of her chest, but she's ready and will leave anything in the ring to keep the title. So Mackenzie wishes her good luck. Continuing on. So, Briggs, he's talking to Kiana James in her office. So they talk about how Jensen loves her and how how he's not been the same since Valentine's Day. Kiana admits that things have been a little bit off, but she's picked up some extra work or acquisitions she wasn't expecting, but she just wants to make things right. She also mentions the acquisitions while touching her planner. So Briggs says she needs to take the lead here. And then Kiana says maybe a makeup date is in order. And then Kiana gets back on her planner and looks at it. And then Briggs, he dips out. Interesting stuff here, I guess. Makes sense for Kiana to give Jensen a makeup date. I still do believe that she will break Jensen's heart and turn heel. I just see that coming. It's just been a slow process to it all. So, Pretty Deadly, Gallus, they're out next. They're in the ring. They call out Pretty Deadly. They address Pretty Deadly. They call them out to prove them wrong. So, Pretty Deadly, they're up on the platform above the crowd. So, Pretty Deadly's talking a bunch of nonsense. But Wolfgang, he yells at them to shut up and ask what they have to do to get a real face-to-face. Pretty Deadly just wants the titles. They can't live without them. They had them stolen months ago as they were on the way to the top, but now they want them back. Gallus says that they'll make a deal. They put the belts down. So Coffee tells Pretty Deadly to come get him. So Pretty Deadly, they rush into the ring. And they have a little brawl with Gallus. And then they haul ass afterwards. And Booker T mentioned on commentary, this is something that that Pretty Deadly should never even fell for. So that was great that Booker T mentioned that on commentary. Me personally, I love Pretty Deadly. It's time for them to be on the main roster. To me, they've outgrown NXT. They've done all that they can do. And I think that they would be phenomenal on the main roster. Put them with the maximum male models. That would be great comedic television right there. Otis, Mansois, Macy, Maxine Dupree, and Pretty Deadly. That would be some really good comedic shit. Moving on. Lyra Valkyria, she's backstage. She says she didn't come to NXT to seek information. She came to seek battle. And she's delved into a world of dissent. And after dealing with others, the skies have opened up. And her eye is on the NXT Women's title. So she addresses Meiko Satomura and says that their flight paths have crossed before, but next time the course will be corrected. She says that her and Roxanne Perez are on very different journeys, but fate will decide if they collide. She says whoever's champion after tonight, just remember she only travels where the crow flies, and that's straight to the top. So I like this. This is interesting. Tiffany Stratton also put her hand in the NXT Women's title picture as well. I imagine them that they might do like a fatal 4-way or triple threat match. So I think that would work out pretty well, I would say. Because I want them to hold off Stratton and Perez for a while, have a story going into it. To me, 3 months is not, 3 weeks isn't even enough to even build anything at all to get anyone invested. That's just how I feel about it. Continuing on. Next, the Creed brothers and Bron Breakker versus Jinder Mahal and Sangha. This match ruled. This was great. I loved it. Bron Breakker fits the Creed brothers like a glove. Like a damn glove. This was awesome. This was tremendous. I loved the match. Hard hitting, big meaty men slapping. That ruled. It was great. So, in the end, Brutus Creed, he got the win off of the Brutus Ball. So that was pretty cool to see that. The Creed brothers, to me, are another tag team that could be on the main roster as well. The problem is that NXT, they have a really weak, I'm talking real weak tag division, man. Their tag division is ass. Like, it's not that many good teams outside of the Creeds. Indus is okay. Pretty Deadly, they're comedic gold. Gallus, they're great as well, but I don't know, man. Oh, I also forgot to mention that Carmelo Hayes was out here to scout Bron. That was pretty cool. Next, we get the Grayson Waller effect. This was great. I love this. I loved it. The segment was great. So, Grayson Waller, he welcomes us to the to the most important Grayson Waller effect of all time. Excuse me. And he says that he doesn't have time for your questions tonight. So he introduces Shawn Michaels. So Waller says that 10-year-old Waller will be freaking out like these people. He goes on about how Shawn would disappoint him one day, and young Waller should have been a Bret Hart guy, not a Shawn guy. Michael says, we're taking the gloves off. He recalls how he and Waller used to be cool. They used to talk, but now Waller hates him. Waller praises him as the best. So he recalls telling Michaels he's taking over the brand, but for some reason Michaels is holding him back and treating him like just like Vince McMahon did Shawn. He says Shawn proved Vince wrong, but now Shawn is Vince. Waller wonders if it's because he doesn't kiss Michaels' ass or pose for his photos, or jealousy. Waller says Michaels is holding him back. So Michaels disagrees angrily at this idea and says it's because Waller lost at Vengeance Day. Waller took his shot and missed it, and they had a decisive winner in the title match, in the NXT title match. Michael says that Waller needs to take a look at the guy in the mirror. Waller says the only reason Michaels is in this role is because of his friend Triple H having a heart attack. Michaels admits this, and he wanted to help out. He wanted to help out Triple H, and it was the least that he could do for all Triple H did for him over the years. He says Triple H was in charge, but HBK is steering the ship now. Waller goes on about how he's the top star of the brand. He steals the show. Waller isn't surprised after, if he's cut after WrestleMania, because Michaels and his team want a star so bad that they can't even see one in front of them. Michaels says that's the problem. Waller thinks he's bigger than the brand. Michaels named several NXT guys from the past and some from the day. Waller was also part of the mix, but he's just basically just a part. Waller says Michaels says everyone fooled, but he sees right through it because Michaels was all about himself and his own career. Michaels says this is true, but he changed when he came to NXT because this place feels special. Waller questions who actually gets to go to Raw or SmackDown. He says that he's sick of this place. The fans who come here every week, the chants, everything. Waller goes on and continues to blabber on until Michaels yells enough. Excuse me. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I'm better now. I got to get some water. I had to get some water. So Michaels says Waller can run him down because hold on, give me 1 second. Okay. So Michaels says Waller can run him down because people have been doing it for 40 years, but you can never run down this brand. So Michaels admits it pisses him off, but Waller tells him do something about it. So Grayson Waller challenges Michaels to a match and Stand and delivers. Michaels takes off his coat at this time. So Michaels says people have been asking him for dream matches for years, offering him big money. Waller thinks that he's special, but he's not. He's special, but he's just the guy doing it in 2023. It happened before, and will keep happening each year, but nothing will thrill Shawn more to whip Waller's ass and deliver. But the reality is, there's someone who wants to do it more. He bleeds more NXT than Shawn. And then Shawn introduces Johnny Gargano. The crowd erupts, and I immediately want to bang my head through a damn brick wall. Oh my God. Johnny Gargano is back. Gargano is back. So Waller and Gargano, they brawl, and then Gargano attempts to go for a super kick, but Waller, he dodges out, and the fans chant Johnny Wrestling. Oh my God. But I figured they were going to bring him back. I forgot to mention that Dragon Lee, he was in the crowd as well, so it was good to see him there. That felt like takeovers of old, where they would do that and have, guys in the crowd. It's cool that they let him keep his name and everything. That's great. I expect him to make his debut at Stand and Deliver. I do. Moving on, Jacy Jayne versus Gigi Dolan. My girl Gigi got the win, which is great. So she hit an SOS for the win, which is great. So a pretty cool little nod to Kofi. So post-match, Jacy Jayne attacks Dolan. She brings in a steel chair, wraps it around Gigi's head, and then referees, they rush in to restore order and everything else. So I'm guessing they'll probably end up running the match back again. Probably a no DQ at Stand and Deliver, which makes the most sense. That's what I would do. Moving on. So Fallon Henley, she's backstage with Jensen. So they hope that the other is doing all right. Briggs walks in and he mentions that Jensen's Fowler's being on the desk of Kenna James. But it's very clear that Jensen didn't send them. But he doesn't pick up on this at all, for whatever reason. So Jensen takes a phone call from Kiana and then leaves to go on a date with her. He's super excited. Fallon says that based on his reaction, it's clear that he didn't send the flowers to Kiana. Briggs agrees. Fallon says she knew something was all wrong this time, but no one listened to her. Briggs simply, he's going to have to say this, but Fallon was right. He asked, what are they going to do about it? So, interesting stuff. Makes sense. I don't know who would send her roses. Maybe it could have been her brother, Zach. I don't know. We'll find out in due time. I still think this is going to be all a big ruse. I'm still, still holding hope out for that. Moving on. This was tremendous here. So, Bron Breakker, he comes out. Bron says that it's time for the biggest match on the biggest stage, and there are no more obstacles or roadblocks. So, it's Stand and Deliver. So, Bron calls out Carmelo Hayes. Bron asks where Carmelo Hayes is at. So, Carmelo hits the ring, and he agrees it's time for their paths to cross as two of NXT's biggest stars. So Bron says that he couldn't agree more. He says that they've been doing their own thing. But each week after a win, he was disappointed when Hayes wasn't next. They both admit to keeping tabs on each other. They recall a meeting with Triple H and Shawn Michaels in August of 2021. Where they said NXT was about to change. They picked Bron and Hayes to basically lead the brand. Carmelo says that they both proved themselves. Bron says they both run fast and hard, but there's nowhere else to go except at each other. So Hayes goes on and tells Bron to put the NXT title on the line, and he'll see him at Stand and Deliver. Hayes says to remember he's never been secondary to nobody. Bron says we'll see on April 1st. And then they shake hands and Bron raises the title. And I was like, oh shit, this is some great stuff here. I love it. This is going to bang. This is going to be tremendous here. I don't think that Carmelo's going to go to the main roster until next year. I'd say I give him a very long run. And And I don't even believe the rumors of him joining the Hurt Business. I don't know. I think MVP is just trolling everybody on Instagram and Twitter. I really do. He's not going, even though MVP is high on Melo, that doesn't mean he's going to join the Hurt Business. To me, it just wouldn't seem right. So Tyler Bate, he's backstage being a Buddhist monk for whatever reason. I have no idea why. So he's meditating with Thea Hale, teaching her how to deal with trauma using yoga and breathing. So Andre Chase and Duke Hudson, they watch, and they're doing the same thing. They're glad to see that Thea Hale's improving. So Tyler Bate offers some more words of encouragement to Thea and wishes Andre Chase good luck in his match tonight. So Duke, he stops by and he says he can't believe anyone would buy that snake oil that Bate is selling. Next, Joe Gacy versus Andre Chase. Gacy wins via the upside down. Ava Raine came out in the match and got involved, and Thea, she yells at Ava and says that she's not afraid. So she started to use the techniques that she learned from Tyler Bate earlier on. Interesting, I guess. So moving on, we get a vignette from Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. They've got a fire lit, and they're playing with a Ouija board. Okay, some more occultic shit. Alba says tonight the moon shines above them, so together they will perform a moon ritual. They addressed KC Squared once for being the longest reigning champions of NXT, but now they struggle to bond together. They wonder if there's ever been any harmony at all between Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley. Alba says their reflection shows that she is just as vicious as the beast that hatched on Autumn Night. And Isla Dawn says, as cunning as the ones that dance in the dark, forged they are unrivaled. They go on and declare that next week they will march forward by claiming their lot. Okay. Interesting, I guess. Duke Hudson, he's backstage with the rest of TSU. So Thea, she's proud of conquering her fears and standing up to Ava Raine. Andre Chase agrees. Duke Hudson asks if they forgot about the loss. He goes on and says that they're an institution of losers. They're pathetic. And they're not a university. They're a bloody joke. And then Duke storms off violently. So this is great. It does make perfect sense here. He's correct. Makes a lot of sense. They've only won like a couple matches anyway. So he's correct. I mean, he's not wrong on this. Really and truthfully, JSU hasn't really been over as much since Buddy Hayward got released all those months ago in the summer of last year. Mackenzie Mitchell is backstage with Wes Lee. She talks to him about all of his open challenges. So Wes Lee talks about retaining over Nathan Frazier last week and says that he loves all the chaos and commotion around here. So Lee announces yet another open challenge for next week Axiom interrupts and says that he was ready, but Frazier stopped him last week. But next week, he's taking the challenge. Lee says if Axiom can get in the ring first, he knows they'll tear it up. This is okay. I actually think that we'll probably get Wes Lee versus Dragon Lee at Stand and Deliver. Makes the most sense. And that's when Wes Lee loses the title. And then you can basically turn Wes Lee heel and have a little feud over the North American title. I think that would rule. That would be great right there. Because you can't have Dragon Lee lose and then just Wes Lee just doing the basic open challenge every week. That gets kind of boring after a while. So that's what I hope that they do. Or at least if I was booking it, that's what I would do. Because you have to have Dragon Lee start off hot. And the North American title has been extremely cold. And it needs feuds to stay relevant, and not just matches, but actual feuds. Because the title has not seemed important for a while. And having it on Dragon Lee would do the title justice. And, turning Wes Lee heel would be a very smart move. Very smart. Main event, Roxanne Perez versus Meiko Satomura. For the NXT Women's title, Roxanne Perez, she retains via a roll-up. So, Meiko was going for the Scorpion Rising, and then Roxanne was able to roll up Meiko for the 1, 2, 3 and retain. So, post-match, Meiko hands Roxanne Perez her title, and then Roxanne Perez, she passes out. So that was, kind of scary. Then referees come out, and then they call for more officials, and then they finally bring out medics. So Booker T, he takes off the headset, he goes in there. The crowd, they're super silent, standing with Vic Joseph. Michaels runs out there as well. He checks on Perez. Everybody puts Perez on a stretcher. And then the camera, they follow the stretcher. And then they put her in the ambulance. And that's how we go off the air. So, this to me is fine. You can kind of tell that it is a work. I was kind of like, oh, what happened? Maybe she was dehydrated, and then maybe she might have been slightly concussed, because Meiko has some deadly strikes. And I think that when Perez hit her head on the outside, when Meiko hit like the first Scorpio Rising on the outside, I think that may have been what did it. I know that some people are saying that this was a callback from when Michaels faced Lex Luger in 95. It was a callback to that, which probably was correct, and it makes sense. This is interesting, but like I said before, I don't want to see Tiffany Stratton versus Roxanne Perez just yet. We need an actual story. And I do think that a multi-person match would be the best way to go about things. You have, Roxanne Perez versus Meiko Satomura versus Lyra Valkyria versus Tiffany Stratton. And then after Meiko loses, you can just send her to the main roster and have her be, I guess, a producer backstage, I guess. I don't know, or a trainer. Meiko's in her early 40s. She's like 42, 43. She's older than Asuka. So I don't know if she could last long on the main roster. I mean, she could, but I don't know. I really don't know. But all in all, NXT Roadblock was great. It was solid. It was very, very solid. Johnny Gargano being back is fine. Dragon Lee debuting, that's solid too. That's great. All in all, the show was fine for the most part. The matches were okay. And the fact that we're getting Carmelo Hayes and Bron Breakker, that's going to be great. That's phenomenal. That was great. They had a pretty good little back and forth promo. That was great. So all in all, it was a good show. It was good. Solid stuff this week for NXT. So on that note, thank you guys for watching. Please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe to my videos. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.